Thieves has shown is really, really impressive. Ryoma has gotten steadily better throughout the split. Meteos even had, I think, a pretty rough start for his historic level of play. And Someday has been incredible. It feels like the team is coming together. So they're definitely favored in this matchup. And it's crazy to think, as you say, that they could be our second place team. Especially yesterday, Pobelter did not have a good game, and CLG, a lot of their wins had been coming through Pobelter, so we'll see if they can get something working for them today.
Yeah, well, it looks... Oh, go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say 7-2 in the back half of the split, I believe, if they win this one. That is the second best team, like we're saying. I mean, only C9 has done better with one loss in the back half.
It would feel right then if they were to win this and move officially into that second place slot to have the second best record behind Cloud9 on the back half of the split and actually indicate a little bit of current performance heading into the postseason. They will put high priority on the Syndra pick there, being picked up right away. 400 Thieves. We'll have to see what the response is for CLG.
I think this is one of the first times we've seen the Senna blue side ban too. And my guess is, Pobelter had that amazing game on Syndra. I think it's probably one of his best champions right now. So they decided to take the Syndra instead of focusing on the Senna first pick and banning the Syndra. I think that's pretty CLG specific.
Pantheon showing up a little bit more recently here in the LCS, picked up again by CLG. Still waiting on that second pickup though before it heads back over to the 100 Thieves camp.
I'm really happy to see Pantheon a lot more in LCS, and I think Wiggly was the first one to get it played against when he played Karthus against Pantheon and got invaded and died a whole bunch. So I think Wiggly's like, I want to be the one invading this time.
I'll point it out. We have seen it in more than just the jungle as well. Faker played it last night in the LCK in the mid lane. So a possible flex pick if the LCS teams have been cluing in to what some of the other regions look at that pick for. But as you mentioned, primarily in the jungle position. 80 carries looking to be picked up next, though, by both squads.
Yeah, Aphelios, not too much of a surprise. Still super prevalent in the meta. The Syndra thing as well, we've seen for the most part Ryoma on what feels like Zoe, Syndra, LeBlanc playing a bit of that trio of mages that have been around all split long, and I think, like we're saying with Pobelter, playing mostly Syndra of that grouping and kind of going for other things if he gets pushed out of there. And I think Pobelter likes playing the control mages a lot more if it would be like an Azir, Cassio, Victor style game.
Yeah, this is interesting. With Aatrox locked in, I feel like CLG, either you go top and you give up your Tahm Kench, or you take Tahm Kench that you want to classically pair with the Varus, and you risk having some of those better matchups against the Aatrox getting banned out. So it will be interesting to see what they do prioritize, but Ruin has been a really good Camille, so I would like this, even if it does mean the Tahm Kench gets banned out. There's a lot of matchups that I think are actually very strong into Aatrox, which we haven't been seeing very often in the LCS because they require your team to play differently. It's more of a split push focused game, things like the Camille, things like the Fiora, and I'm excited to see Ruin bring that out because he has been able to shine on it in the past.
And they have a good jungler for camping top as well with the Pantheon, so I do like matching the top laners there. It would be really weird if you had support and jungle locked in, the other team had all three laners, and then you're really desynced in the first phase, which generally you don't see people do that often.
Right, there is a little bit of a desync though, as you mentioned, with junglers being banned out by CLG now and a little bit of a target towards the mid lane, it looks like, from 100 Thieves.
Yeah, so this is a weird desync where 100 Thieves kind of picked both solo lanes when CLG showed their jungle and AD. Obviously, Pantheon could be a flex, but I'd be more surprised. So big thing here is CLG is going to want to use their advantage in the jungle by having to pick their jungle early and banning to be able to dive top. So here is kind of a question does CLG have a big enough mid pool to punish the Syndra pick and be able to push that mid lane? Because if they can get that mid push, they should have jungle advantage and technically top advantage, being the counter pick here. And being able to get the dives off against Aatrox is going to be what puts Camille really ahead in this matchup.
I mean, they can also get support counter pick too if he wants to take something like, Ori is something I think Pobelter might gravitate towards versus the Syndra. You also see their support, so you'll get basically 3 counter picks in one in each lane.
I think that tally advantage is really important. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Pantheon.
Yeah.
Taliyah Pantheon obviously a really strong combo and would allow them to, also be able to make even more moves up towards that top side. Echo, actually a really good matchup into Syndra.
The classic.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that also sets up well with the Pantheon. You could have the Pantheon W into the parallel convergence, setting up the Sun there. So there's, another strong solo lane to play through. Also does give you the ability to look for 1-3-1 in the later stages of the game when you have both Echo and the Camille to kind of split it up. But it does mean that they will lose Tahm Kench, and Tahm Kench also is a champion that is good at responding to some of this side lane play, ulting in your jungler, ulting an additional member to try to pick some of these split pushers off.
Just a couple picks left for each squad. Will be Sejuani to round out the composition for 100 Thieves. And that final counter pick in the 5th pick for CLG still to be determined. 20 seconds left to go.
I hope
this is their opening for another Zig support, by the way.
Yeah, I was about to say, I hope it's something interesting, because otherwise there's no reason not to take the Tahm Kench there, because Echo would be open for last pick.
Less exciting, but I do like the Braum and the Tahm Kench with Varus, because with Tahm Kench nerfs on his W, he actually can't eat someone and escape the Varus ult at the same time. So Varus actually can ult kind of anyone and always at least get one target, and Braum can follow up. So I like this, but I was more excited to see the Ziggs again, just, not selfish.
Wishful thinking. Either way, the compositions are locked in. So, gentlemen, how do we feel about the overall here now that we've seen the draft in completion?
CLG's got to make this bloody. They do not want a 0-0 game. They do not want an ARAM, and they want to be able to get kills early. They want to scrap a lot, and then they want to go into 1-3-1 as soon as possible.
All right. Well, I'm going to put the three of you on the spot. Having seen draft, what would be your prediction for the result of this game? Will 100 Thieves give themselves an opening in that three-way tie to challenge for second place with a victory, or will CLG lock it up here for us and give us a 4-game tiebreaker?
I think 100 Thieves is going to win this one. I really like the fact that some days...
Or other way around. Sorry, 3-game. I misspoke.
Yeah, the 100 Thieves win is what will give the 4-game tiebreaker. I think just with Someday and a skill matchup, I always tend to trust them in those. So I think it's difficult to play into the Camille, and they have the worst jungler, but I think Someday will be able to withstand a lot of this topside pressure.
Azael, final thoughts?
I mean, I think 100 Thieves is a stronger team with a much easier to execute draft, so I think that they will win. But CLG has given themselves some good options. You have two potentially winning solo lanes who can take over the game if you can get ahead.
Faith for the 100 Thieves, but probably told you how CLG would do it if they are to do it. Champion Select is over, which means we head to another 5-minute competitive integrity break. The casters will be waiting for you on the other side of that break to get you straight into the game. After this game, though, make sure to join us back here for the Bud Light Breakdown, where we will be teeing up all of the tiebreaker tournament that is before us before we kick off the games and award MasterCard Player of the Week. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here. Week 9, Day 2, Spring 2020, LCS. You just watched one of the craziest games play out so far, and Team Liquid is now officially eliminated from LCS playoff contention. Ooh. However, we still do have Immortals, Golden Guardians, and Dignitas in a three-way tie for that last spot. Our next game coming up right now is 100 Thieves versus CLG. 100 Thieves, they're already locked. CLG, they're already eliminated. But the thing is, if CLG wins today, we will play the remaining 3 tiebreakers out after these games. They will be played today. If 100 Thieves wins, there's 4 tiebreakers instead, meaning those 4 games will be postponed and played tomorrow.
Yeah, and we have a little bit of time before this game, so I'll talk about a few more standings implications.
Okay.
I actually, in all of the Team Liquid thought of, hey, maybe they could still make playoffs, with the loss, they actually finished the split 9th, which is, whoa. Like that's just because there's such compression towards the top of these standings.
Yep.
And in terms of more detail on the tiebreakers that we may or may not see, as you mentioned, if COG wins this one, we're going to keep going and we're going to resolve all tiebreakers. And what that would mean is the Golden Guardians, Dig, and Immortals would have a 3-way tiebreaker, with Golden Guardians being the final boss for the Dig Immortals game. And then TSM and 100 Thieves would play a head-to-head tiebreaker to determine the 4th seed.
Okay.
If we have 100 Thieves win this game, that pushes our total number of tiebreakers to 4, which would have the same 3-way tie for 6 with the same rules of Golden Guardian playing the winner of Dig Immortals. But then also, we'd have this 3-way tiebreaker for 2nd, where EG, 100 Thieves, and FlyQuest would all be tied with the same number of wins, and TSM would be locked in 5th. Apologies for those of you who are trying to follow along with just my voice. Hopefully, you learned something. One kind of important note is that if COG wins this, since there would only be 2 teams tied with the 10-8 record, Evil Geniuses and FlyQuest, Evil Geniuses would actually win the head-to-head tiebreaker over FlyQuest and just be 2nd. So EG, weirdly, is a COG fan for this game.
Right. And so just out of curiosity, I don't know if you know the answer and I don't want to put you on the spot here. So,
but ask anyway.
I'm going to, because we have some time. So why is Golden Guardians the final boss out of the 3-way tie?
That's just based on the way we break them. I'm not currently on the perfect set of rules. I know LEC and LCS diverged in the way they do tiebreakers this split.
Okay.
In the past, sometimes it's like strength of victory. Other times it's like cumulative head-to-head score. I'm sure the Lolly Sports Stats Twitter is like the perfect place to find this. If it's not up now, I'm sure it will be at some point.
But there is some numerical reason why Golden Guardians essentially get a bye as opposed to just random draw for which one's the final boss. Okay. So there is some sort of logic behind that, ladies and gentlemen, with Golden Guardians being the final boss in that situation. Either way, that 3-way tie, as he said, has to be resolved. But 100 Thieves and CLG, 100 Thieves already surprising a lot of people by taking down TSM yesterday. And if you can beat TSM, you would think that CLG should be easy peasy 1-2-3-zy, right?
You would think,
right?
You would think. COG's on a big loss streak. You never know. We've already had the drafts happen. And I mean, so much is actually on the lines for 100 Thieves just based on the way that the current playoff scenario works. Yeah. The peak for 100 Thieves actually is if they win this and then they win the 3-way tiebreaker, they could be as high as 2nd. If they lose this and then lose the 4th place tiebreaker to TSM, they could drop to 5th. And with the current playoff format, top 4 is a very important cutoff, because the first round of the playoffs is the top 4 teams who effectively get double elimination because the 2 losers from the first week of playoffs will then play the 5th and 6th seed in immediate elimination games. So massive difference for 100 Thieves based on taking care of business in this game.
It's a reverse bye. You already have an X on your report card, and you're really close to a detention. So we'll see if 100 Thieves can manage to pull off the win against CLG. It's under their control. I mean, this is a 3-14 team. This has been the roster that has easily struggled the most the entirety of this split. We'll see if Pobelter can make things happen here for him. He's been the one that a lot of people, myself included, have been giving credit towards for having the improved performance since he joined the team, since Crown was released from the roster, but he's going to have to put a lot of work in here today.
Yeah, and he tweeted yesterday after a poor Corki performance where he got solo killed by Golden Glue's Silas that he's been sick lately, he says. He hasn't been playing well, so he kind of like took some responsibility on himself. You can go check his Twitter for more details on that, but I think he started hot. And in about the last 3 or 4 games, Pobelter has actually looked pretty underwhelming. This will be the final game of CLG's spring split, so they're probably hoping to end it with a bang. They can really make things difficult for 100 Thieves, as we just talked about, knocking them out of a chance for that second-place tiebreaker and instead putting 100 Thieves into a tiebreaker against TSM for 4th. If they do it this game, and looking at how they do it, I mean, they've done a pretty classic 1-3-1 composition. They're going to try and do it through split pushing.
Yeah, sometimes when you get to the final game of a split, you'll see teams play like meme or troll stuff. We saw a couple of those in the LEC in their week 9, but CLG taking this one seriously. All these champions, pretty standard stuff here. As I want to see if Pobelter can pop off on Echo. This is a champion that's had pretty strong solo queue stats here for quite a while now, and you can see him getting the better of Ryoma there at the level 1 trade.
Yeah, nice little juke of the Q after popping his passive to get additional movement speed. And the throwback counterpick to Syndra did used to be the Echo. A lot of it is because you can shove out the wave so quickly and then get back to lane so quickly and then roam with the combination of your Q, your ult, and your teleport. So early on, it's not necessarily amazing. If Pobelter can stay even until 6, that would be really good. It's after level 6 where the Echo would start getting some of those counter properties.
Someday versus Ruin in the top side. Ruin's been kind of hot and cold so far this split as well. More towards the cold, but he's had a lot of games where you're just left kind of wondering what's going on up there. He's had a couple of solid performances too, but up against some guy like Someday that we still find ourselves constantly measuring top laners against, he'll need to really hold his own here too.
Yeah, and they might even go for an early dive. I mean, level 3 Pantheon does a bridged route to get up here early, and they're looking for something.
Someday still only big. Level 2. TP coming in from CLG. They're waiting until they got the 3rd man there to begin the dive. Wiggly is tanking everything up. He utilizes the E to properly block the turret shots, and CLG get away with their kill, but oh no, Wiggly. This is not the path you wanted to take, my friend. Meteo says, here's an ice ball. See you later.
Ah, my goodness. That smart by Meteos to be there. So, just so people know, the reason we were talking about playoff scenarios was because there was an actual DC an issue. The timing of that, unrelated, but
Jungler
also pretty perfect. Yeah, I mean, Wiggly needs to just walk out through the lane. Meteos just waits in the brush, hoping something happens. Actually, it does happen. He's able to get the return kill onto Wiggly.
That was... we couldn't have timed that better if it actually was scripted. That was phenomenal. Ruin didn't really rage quit. I want to make sure to point that out for anybody who might have not detected the sarcasm there, but that was funny to watch. Still, it was first blood over to the side of CLG. Pobelter trying to find a kill onto Ryoma here. Needs a little bit more to get it. There you go. He's even able to get himself away, and it doesn't look like anybody from 100 Thieves can collapse in time.
That was actually really well done by Pobelter, threatening the extra damage from Q and then following all the way through Ryoma's flash to get the pass-through of his Q at the very end. A solid 2-0 now for Pobelter after getting the last hit on the dive kill and taking this one. So if they want to do split push, getting the kill onto Someday early and burning out his teleport, and then also getting that kill onto Echo is a decent start.
Plus, Pobelter immediately rushing Mercury Treads, wants to make sure he can resist the combined AP damage, but now we're going to see Stun having to gobble up Cody Sun here in the bottom side. A couple more auto attacks will grab the Stun. There you go. Burst coming through. Thick Skin appears in time, and Stun's going to be kept alive. Now Cody and Meteos looking to see if there's anything they're able to clean up. Remember, Stunt is still incredibly low. It's hard for him to join in on this fight. Smoothie going to be tanking up a lot. The Infernum, nice
Triple
root
root
from Cody on to 3. But Smoothie's there in the front line with the shield, blocking things up for these guys. Flashes coming out. There go your auto attacks, and Cody Sun making a double. Ruin shows up, trying to finish him off. The flash will seal that, as now he gets picked off too. That's only a 1-for-1 on the back end of the fight, and the Thieves come out on top.
Really impressed with Cody Sun's Aphelios the last couple days. And I even personally feel like I understand what's happening with Aphelios now. It's cool. Basically, what he was doing there is he marked everyone with his Infernum Q, swapped guns, and then rooted with his Gravitum spell. So, really good understanding of knowing when he can line up the multi-root, and he does that multiple times in that skirmish because the cooldowns actually came back in order to secure the kill. So, well played by Cody.
Cody Sun utilizing all the power of the guns put together. And honestly, those are like really good guns for the situation. Let's take another look at the replay.
Yeah, so the Infernum Q is just like a cone of fire that shoots out, but it also marks people. So you can see those like purple things. That's essentially says, hey, if you detonate your Gravitum Q, it will root. So you can see he has 3 people marked again, gets the root, and that spell has like it's an 8 or a 10-second cooldown as they continue this chase, and he has just enough mana, so he actually flashes, does the Infernum Q, swaps over to the Gravitum, and does it again. So nicely done by Cody Sun. Sure, he dies at the end, but it's after he's picked up the double kill, so he's already got the gold, doesn't really care, and they trade a kill for Ruin anyway.
Ruin getting the kill for himself means he does have enough money to go back to base and grab a Tiamat to continue pushing up here in the top side against Someday. Now, Someday did rush Ninja Tabby, so pretty easy for him to resist a lot of the damage Ruin is going to be doing. Meteos here mid lane, seeing if maybe there's something to set up against Pobelter, but you have to chain CC it perfectly, otherwise he just chrono breaks away.
Yeah, well, they were hoping for him to E in, and they're just going to get something, but
A little bit of damage.
he's so fast.
All right.
Echo's so fast once he procs his passive.
So hard to gank. Very difficult. But Wiggly's farming up. He's got his red. He doesn't have level 6, though. Meteos does. So if these junglers find themselves in the same fight, it will be advantage to 100 Thieves. Bottom side, Cody Sun delivering the Moonlight Vigil, finding a little bit more damage on the back end of it there with the sniper rifle plus chakram combo. Means he's able to grab just a tiny extra trade value at the end. I mean, Smoothie's already in a spot where he doesn't want to be walking back towards these guys anytime soon, but he will be able to heal up a bit with a potion.
Yeah, and the lane pressure they created could have been used for some turret plate chips, but instead they just use it to gain total control of the river and go for this first Ocean Drake. And you could even see Someday with lane pressure in top lane. This is looking pretty good for Thieves.
100 Thieves, easy Ocean Drake there, no contest for the side of CLG. Someday trying to go after Wiggly here, as Wiggly's forced to flash away from that Aatrox. Not a 1v1 he's going to win.
Definitely not with just the double longsword. So Someday, all alone up in this top side, getting work done. Invades the jungler, spots him, gets his flash, kills the control ward, still catches his wave. It's likely that the Rift Herald will still go over, but Someday doing everything he can with the time he had.
This game's honestly pretty bloody so far. 7 kills in 8 minutes is above the curve for most LCS matches, unless you just get one that's a complete madman contest. I tried to come up with a good word that wasn't fiesta, but I couldn't really land it. You know, you guys know what was actually going through my brain. But either way, CLG are trying to stay even with 100 Thieves, man. It's 1,000 gold down already at 9 minutes of the game. They are a Drake down. We'll see if they can stabilize it, because Cody Sun on this Aphelios, he had some big team fight pop-offs in the game yesterday against TSM, and I think it's why they won that game. Just flashing forward, getting all the damage down in the team fight that he could. He's a pop-off kind of player in late-game team fights, and now Wiggly's showing up here into the bottom side. Stunt and Cody going to be caught in a 3 versus 2, and Stunt ends up paying the price.
Yeah, I mean, overall, good fight for CLG, knowing that they had the Pantheon capable of joining. Sure, Cody Sun is quite a strong Aphelios, but ultimately unable to get any types of kills. Meanwhile, just pressure up top, gets a lot of plates. 400 Thieves.
100 Thieves. Ryoma down to under half HP, though. Has to be careful if Pobelter's looking to grab a kill here yet again. As Flash from Stixay in the bottom side to stay safe from Cody Sun.
Man, Cody Sun is really just continuing to apply threat for this team, and it's a bit of a full court press from 100 Thieves right now. Ideally, if Ryoma is winning the mid lane matchup, this game would be completely out of control for CLG, but the fact that Pobelter is able to apply some mid lane pressure and keeps drawing people here is the only thing keeping it in check. We see Someday can just kind of run over top lane at this juncture with his defensive build, and Cody Sun with the early double kill is forcing Summoner spells left and right down bot lane, so the map would kind of collapse if Pobelter wasn't keeping the fort held in mid.
I wonder what kind of workout he does on back day, because it's got to be pretty impressive with the amount of carrying he's done for this team so far.
He did play pretty poorly yesterday.
Let me have my joke.
The record is I know. I just I think I talked about this on This or That with Kobe, where like you and I were really in it for the Pobelter carry story last week because he was landing so many like sweet equalizers in their game. Mm-hmm. And then he got caught like 4 times in a row, and we just like didn't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So, it was like, yeah, Pobelter's doing great.
Except when he doesn't.
Yeah. So the good has come with the bad for Pobelter, I think, in a lot of these cases, as COG still finds themselves at 3-14. He's definitely had his moments where he's looked super good. I'll give you that.
You just kind of got to brush the int moments under the rug a little bit, but it'll be okay. 100 Thieves, they're looking to set up a dive here in the bottom lane, maybe, but they'll just back off instead. Meteo's just moving up in there in case there was some sort of a collapse from CLG. Remember, Wiggly does have a lot of mobility across the map with his ultimate, but that's still not going to be up here for a little while longer. Still 20% remaining on that.
Yeah, it's for the bloody start. It's definitely slowed down, and Rift Top means we might see some action. Wiggly though.
Oh
buddy.
no, Wiggly! This is where your last grave mistake happened. Ryoma looking to grab the kill onto him, but now Wiggly is chasing after the 100 Thieves mid laner Meteos with a nice toss over the wall with the Glacial Prison. He sentences Wiggly to a dire sentence of 2 seconds, but it is enough to keep Ryoma safe.
Yeah, both summoner spells burn. Pobelter now has flash and ult advantage in that mid lane, so narrow escape for them. Meanwhile, the bottom lane is just continuing to crush.
Bottom lane is, yeah, there's no contest here between these guys. 20 CS lead for Cody Sun. He's got the 2-kill advantage. Working towards that first item still. Not hitting the completion power spike here just yet. Did stop off for Berserker's Grief, so that will delay it a little bit. You can see Stixay's Varus still sitting on just the enchanted magical footwear. I think that's the first time in my life I've ever used the correct name for it. But
not free ass boots.
Yeah, free ass boots is normally my go-to, but I was trying to be more correct here this time around. Have a more professional take, you know. Since we're broadcasting from home, we've got to find that professionalism wherever it may dwell. And right now, CLG is trying to find, you know, any way to just make sure that they don't keep bleeding here in this game. The next Drake is going to spawn. 100 Thieves do have control over both the mid lane and bot lane pushes, and they'll be the first ones rotating.
Yeah, it does seem like COD is playing this massive game of catch-up and probably just hoping that Camille and Echo get to a point where they can win 1v1s in side lanes, because grouping up is not a good idea. I don't know if it'll ever be a good idea
I don't think
for the
so.
COD composition.
Yeah, they got Sejuani, man. Yeah, Sejuani.
Yeah. I see what they're going for, right, with this composition of the last game of the spring split for them. Let's put everyone on champs with a bunch of agency and just kind of see what happens.
Yeah.
However, 100 Thieves has been really good lately at just controlling games with stronger 5v5 late games. So they're on track to do that. They're 500 gold up. They're 2 Drakes in the bag. They're 2 away from Cloud Soul Point. So they're doing it. They don't need to do anything crazy because they've been so good at controlling these games late.
And if they can manage to get those split pushers online, I mean, Pantheon's a great champion to have with a team that wants to 1-3-1, because you're always able to join one of those split push situations and make the fight unfair. Wiggly will work there to steal away the blue buff, as Cody Sun and Stunt put the last couple of auto attacks into that bottom lane turret. Plates had just fallen, meaning it was very easily killable, and that is first turret of the game going over to 100 Thieves.
I think 100 Thieves, Cody Sun, is going to be pretty big this game.
Well,
okay.
Unless he gets caught out and punished here. Smoothie and Stixay are moving
coming?
forward here in the 2v2.
Camille's coming.
Cody and Stun backing away, but the cavalry has arrived now for both sides. Cody is popped. You cast or cursed him, Jet, as Ruin jumps in with those scissor legs that Camille has, and snip, snip, stunt is cut down to side.
Caster Curson is what I do, apparently. It's just teleport up, flash up, but the flank was too great by Ruin. Just the level of aggression that Stixay and Smoothie were going at them 2v2, even though you know the 2v2s aren't winnable against Aphelios Tahm Kench, like someone had to be coming.
Ooh, nice.
And they're just going to keep going.
Nice 4-man dive there. Easy and simple and clean coming out from CLG.
All right, 100 Thieves is trying to play calm. CLG is not. I like the fact that they're actually going for stuff and have looked pretty coordinated in the last two, both the kills on a Cody Sun and Stunt and the dive down onto Ryoma. Getting the kills onto Ruin, I actually think is the most important part, because if he can start winning 1v1s against Aatrox, we know Echo can win 1v1s against Syndra, and that would give them some real 1-3-1 pressure.
And that last turret, or that first turret, I should say, there up in the top side, that last little bit of health on it will not be chipped away at by the Sejuani. Meteos rotates, will not be chipped away at by those minions, excuse me. The Sejuani moving up there to interrupt everything. I got too many things going through my brain at once right now with all these different tiebreaker scenarios. As the bottom laners from both sides have moved into the mid lane, and they are going to be pushing these waves out towards both directions. Shelly currently being attempted by Meteos. 100 Thieves trying to grab this one for themselves, see if maybe they can grab a turret with it. It's still alive for plenty of time, so it's not like Baron's going to show up and despawn this thing, and CLG has no intentions of contesting.
Yeah, I mean, 100 Thieves still trying to take control. Just so people know, again, if CLG wins this game, our total number of tiebreakers would be 3. If 100 Thieves wins, the total number of tiebreakers would be 4. And that matters because if it's 3, we play them right away. So you'd stick around for like 3 more hours of LCS. If it's 4, you're going to have to tune in tomorrow and stay tuned for details on that broadcast.
Right. I believe I read that it starts at noon tomorrow, so same time as it would have today. But Cody Sun now once again in trouble. Vulcan with the save. Devour's doing some good work there as Wiggly shows up. And there you go. Pantheon making the plays. Stixay would have needed one more auto attack to find a stun onto Stunt, as CLG walks out 1 for 0.
Man, that mid dive is working for them. Normally when you're mid with Tahm Kench, you're feeling pretty safe under your turret, but not the case with how they're going at him right now. And Smoothie's pretty low, but they want to bring the farm.
Someday in some trouble. Gonna be caught out here. Nice stopwatch from Smoothie just to make sure. Just to make sure.
I mean, it worked.
It did. It did.
Like, it totally worked.
Yeah, he's dead.
He baited him, I guess? I guess he did. Somebody had flash. Maybe he would have just tried to flash out, but they had the Camille ult anyway. Okay. That felt like one of those... So when I'm playing Wukong, I'll stand in front of Blitz to hope he tries to hook me, just so I can press my W and he can hook my clone.
Oh, okay.
But it's like...
You're trying to
It's one of those things... Kind of, but like it doesn't even really bamboozle. It's just like, oh yeah, I traded cooldowns with you. So like doing it properly doesn't really give me anything except satisfaction. Like it doesn't give me an advantage. But doing it wrong gets me killed. And that's what I felt like Smoothie's stopwatch there was. Like it looked cool.
So all risk, no reward.
Anything.
You're just doing it because it's fun.
Yeah, and you only get one stopwatch. Like,
Right, that's not exactly a
odd now.
cooldown that you want to willingly trade, as 100 Thieves are now on Soul Point. They grab that third Drake for free. Ryoma hits one of those Syndra orbs right into Ruin off to the side, but it's not a chance to really do anything with it. We'll see if CLG can get the tier 1. They'll get a couple auto attacks onto it, but they will be scared away by the collapsing 100 Thieves.
And CLG is actually accruing a pretty large gold lead, so this is definitely one of those games where the Soul might not actually be the win in the bag if they can keep up this pressure, or they're going to be strong enough that they can create a pick right before that next Drake and start turning it around. So by no means is this completely under control anymore for 100 Thieves. CLG's picked up enough kills in sides and in mids and just Pantheon, Camille, Echo, like being everywhere, that they're in it.
CLG trying to give us a nice long day at LCS to close out the split.
Hell yeah.
We'll see if they can do it, though. We'll see if they can do it. Lots of money on Wiggly. He had... I mean, when you consider that Wiggly's only death was the unfortunate series of events that happened after the first blood, he's doing pretty darn well here for himself as they try to make a play onto Meteos, but that's not really the guy you can be initiating onto, or is it? Ruin's able to show up from the side. TP also coming in now. Wiggly eating some damage from the Moonlight Vigil as Pobelter goes into the Chrono Break to keep himself alive. Ruin continuing the chase. It's Someday who's under pressure as Ruin continues landing auto attack after auto attack, and one more kick does it. Killing spree for Ruin. 11-4 for CLG. Smoothie with a flash away, and the jump to Wiggly will walk out alive. And all this time, Jat, it's Stixay. Auto into the turret, and another objective for CLG.
They keep winning skirmishes and they keep getting more objectives. Not only did they finish off that mid turret, but they also have wave push in both side lanes, because as that fight was dissipating, they just kind of spread back up into split push formation and got the waves going. So good job there by Wiggly, tanking up so much damage with his E, and the powerful Cody Sun of the start of the game hasn't been able to farm, so he's really not that much stronger at this moment. The look was okay for 100 Thieves, knowing that they had this temporary 4v3, but Ruin comes in from the bottom, finishes off Meteos, Pobelter teleports in, zones out 3 people, and that just allows Ruin to chase down Someday and get another kill.
Yeah, Someday unfortunately stuck around too long and paid the price for it. Ruin really getting off to a great start here in this. Look at the comparison between the itemization on the two. It's Ninja Tabby, Black Cleaver, pieces of something for Someday. And on the other side, Ruin has a completed Trinity Force, completed Ravenous Hydra, has Executioner's Calling to shut down the healing. He's looking a lot better.
He wins. Like, this is kind of the dream scenario when you're picking these compositions of Echo Camille, where your actual 5v5 front to back team fighting is poor, but your flanking is really strong. In order to set up the flanks, you need to be able to win the 1v1s in the side lanes, and that's the position they're in. No way can Ryoma match Pobelter or Someday accurately match Ruin and actually threaten pressure. So it means 100 Thieves has to kind of brute force their way through the jungle, and now they get flanked.
Nice Chains of Corruption starting off there from Stixay, but now 100 Thieves have a good chance to turn things around, and a shutdown onto Ruin is going to do just that. CLG trying to make moves onto the tanky members of 100 Thieves and being punished for it.
I am on fire. Caster curses, one after the other. Like, next, if I want something to happen, just say the opposite is doing well, because that was the failed collapse right there. Ruin would have been completely fine just staying in the side, out-dueling Someday, but instead he hopes to find a flank with an E, and it was actually, I think, Meteos's ult sniped him out of midair to just kind of trap him in that little choke point by the Raptor Pit. And that keeps 100 Thieves in a decent position to, you know, buy another item on Cody Sun, maybe complete Ryoma's next. Not quite, he's not there at Death Cap, but they need to be able to win this next fight at the Cloud Soul.
Cloud Soul, man. You've got to keep that away from your opponents just 23 minutes into the game, especially on some champions like what they got. Cody will have extra mobility to try to keep himself alive in these fights. Someday can pop the World Ender and just be flying at whoever he deems an appropriate target. Cloud Soul is pretty useful here for the side of 100 Thieves, and CLG with no Drakes under their belt. 100 Thieves can breathe a bit easy if they do lose a couple of these, because it's going to be a long while before they're actually relevant to the side of CLG. But CLG, they're moving up, looking to see if maybe they can take control of this river away from 100 Thieves.
Not here.
Ryoma losing a little bit of HP, TP coming in. Wiggly looking for the chance to ulti, and there you go. He's found himself in the middle of 5 people, has to flash away. Smoothie has already lost most of his HP. 100 Thieves still being chased out. The crab is smited. Pobelter there on the front line has to immediately Chrono Break back. Meteos half HP, Stunt, Ryoma all half HP. CLG still looking to contest. Smoothie is almost dead. Remember, the Cloud Drake has been aggroed, and Ruin is off to the side. He's looking for the opportunity to make
Ruin
that
has ult.
flank, and here he comes. He's exhausted as soon as he jumps in. He issues the Hextech ultimatum, but the counterattack is there, and 100 Thieves destroy the CLG lines. Pobelter is forced to flash away as Stixay grabs himself a kill onto Stunt. It's a shutdown for Cody Sun, and he's looking for even more. Pobelter runs away, and Cody will not grab the kill. It is still a 3-for-1 for 100 Thieves, and they will take that soul.
Whew, that fight was actually pretty close, but ultimately you can see why 100 Thieves has been successful with these compositions that can just control one space, because inevitably the other team has to come into that space, and 100 Thieves has manipulated the right conditions there. So CLG was trying their best to do a flank, but as long as they're not flanking onto Cody Sun, who by far is doing the most damage on this team, they're going to have a bad time. So that fight, they couldn't quite get onto Cody Sun. He managed to just get going with his Aphelios guns, and they pick up the Cloud Soul. Gold-wise, though, it's still 2,500. The move speed's going to be quite good for 100 Thieves, but by no means do I feel like this is a win yet.
There are so many stopwatches on 100 Thieves. This next team fight is going to be such a pain in the butt to cast. I am going to hear that noise so many times in this next fight.
Well, at least we know Smoothie doesn't have his.
Right.
Stunt doesn't have his either. He used it in the last one. So
Okay, supports don't
it's
have
only 4.
But
Yeah.
top side, Pobelter's caught out. Echo normally very slippery, but in a situation like this, he doesn't even bother to use the ult. He knows it wouldn't have gotten him out of trouble. And now with the enemy mid laner picked off, with that Echo finally shut down, what can 100 Thieves get?
Yeah, it seems like COG might be a little boom after that last team fight. That was a really poor pickoff onto Pobelter right there. Wiggly would need to maybe ult in to steal this one. Ruin is pressuring and will likely TP up for this fight, or he might just keep going and they'd go for 50-50 steal. That's probably the better choice, is to just have Ruin not come up at all.
Can Wiggly even find a chance to get in there? I mean, he could. Okay, he's just gonna ult it. He goes in
Well, now 100
pretty
Thieves gonna
early.
kill off.
So 100
Wait,
Thieves just backs
kill him.
away. They wait for the
Yep.
E to drop. They drop the stun. They kill him off. Now there's no chance for that to be stolen. Unfortunately for Wiggly, okay, there actually was a chance for that to be stolen because Cody was the one who got it as a piercing arrow flew in.
Yeah, and that was not awful for COG. They did open up the inhibitor turret on the bottom lane. It obviously wasn't great. You want to deny the Baron as much as possible. But Wiggly ended up buying a lot of time with that ult, even if it was early, because not only do they need to wait for the ult to complete, they need to wait for the E invulnerability to go down, and they need to kill the Drake. So all told, it's like an extra 7 or 8 seconds with which Ruin killed that inhibitor turret.
Ruin, but I mean, hey man, it's not an actual inhibitor. You're not getting anything else in terms of pressure off the map from it. And 100 Thieves, we're talking about pressure on the map. They have it all. They've got the Baron buff.
Yeah.
Everybody's ready to go. Pobelter's still splitting off there in the side lane. He has TP to join a fight, but
100 Thieves could win here. If they get the right pick, COG is full committing to the split push. They're saying we're going to give up a mid inhibitor, but when they have 2 people siding like this, 100 Thieves is going to potentially run it right up the gut. Okay, they actually back off the game of chicken. Somebody backed off.
Someday walks away. He's going to go back, make sure they don't lose inhibitor turret number 2. But Ruin is still applying that pressure, as you stated, in the bottom lane. The 1-3-1 is the win condition for CLG. At least they're committed to it. I like to see that they're staying committed to this strategy instead of getting cold feet towards the end and be like, no, we got to defend against Baron. What if they push Nexus? They're sticking to their guns, at least.
Yeah, I actually do think that's totally the right thing to do. Seen so many... So solo queue teams are the ones that fight about this by far the most. Whenever you have like that one fed solo laner who's in the side lane and says, don't get caught, and then he just goes and runs off, and then when he gets collapsed on, he says, why aren't you doing stuff?
Why aren't
Types of
you
fights
doing
you have.
stuff?
Yeah, but this was actually good communication by COG when the 2 split pushers went in side lanes, told the mid guys, all right, don't get caught. The mid guys just backed off, and eventually 100 Thieves had to back off, and then the COG solo laners left. That was a pretty good stall of the Baron, considering a 5-man defense, since their split push composition just actually wouldn't work. So they're doing that again. They're full committing again. They might even be giving up a second inhibitor here by trying to threaten the bot lane inhibitor turret of their own, and I like what Someday's doing there with that early recall.
Someday recalls to stop Ruin. Pobelter recalls to join the rest of the team. 100 Thieves are still getting the better of these deals every single time. This is the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals, maybe ever, I believe is the phrase, as 100 Thieves are just getting everything, and CLG has no more than they started with. 100 Thieves will now take a Nexus turret down. Ruin makes a TP in. We'll see if they can pop off. This is their last chance. Wiggly and Ruin into the fight. Ryoma's going to be taken low, but not taken down. Wiggly eating a lot of damage. Nearly going to be killed off here. Into the stasis he goes. Ruin pops. They're not long for this world. 100 Thieves
Cody's
is
alive.
destroying the fight. Stixay continues to retreat as Someday moves forward. One more auto attack will do it. He grabs the kill and the shutdown credit, and 100 Thieves, they're on to the Nexus. They will win this game, and they will push our tiebreakers back tomorrow.
GG to 100 Thieves. CLG tried.